you could always count on me, darling. From that day on, I'll be there when you want me away somehow. Oh, baby, that ain't no lie.
We're playing the best of Marvin Gaye all 3 hours of our show today because June, as you know, is Black Music Month. And that's how we do it around here. Every day we choose a different artist and we play the best of their stuff, their artistic genius, all 3 hours of our show. And today that person is Marvin Gaye, and you have to love all his stuff with Tammy Terrell. It's hard to think of, I said this the other day about Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. But there have been some amazing collaborations over the course of black music history. And certainly Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack are at the top of that list, but so are Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. So we are pleased to have the opportunity today, all 3 hours of our show, to celebrate some of the best of the artistic genius of Marvin Gaye. In this hour, as promised, two conversations. On the B side of this hour, we'll talk to financial wellness advocate Dr. Tissa Silver Kennedy about the president's student debt relief plan. I mentioned earlier in today's show, the president is taking on the chin today with another Supreme Court ruling, this one about air pollution. And I'm none too happy with what the Supreme Court has ruled, but that's just me, and I suspect many others who care about climate and all these other issues connected to it. But he's also getting some pushback from the courts on his student debt relief plan. So we'll talk about the latest on that, where we are, and what that looks like moving forward. I think the president hopes and expects and believes that a whole lot of Americans are going to vote for him just because he got that debt relief. He may be right about that. The president's done a lot of people a huge favor relieving their student loan debt, but he's getting pushback at every step of the way. So we'll talk about that again on the backside of this hour. We commenced this hour with two-time presidential appointee at the Small Business Administration, that's SBA, Cassius Butts. I'm pleased to have on this program to talk about the growth and the future of small black-owned businesses in America. Cassius, good to have you on. How are you, sir?
Good day, Brother Tavis Smiley. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing the best I can. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. We were just talking in our last hour. His name came up a couple times, metaphorically. The GOAT, Muhammad Ali. So anybody with a first name Cassius is okay by me. How did you get that name? Were you named after him or somebody else?
But actually, Tavis, he was close to my family. My grandfather was a boxer. I grew up in Philadelphia, and actually, I had one fight when I was a child. I was able to get some tutelage from him. I had one fight, knocked a gentleman out. My grandmother and mother said I could never fight again. So I credit him. I'm 1-0 lifetime, and I'll take that.
I think with the first name Cassius, there had to be a story behind that, and so I'm glad you unpacked that for me. Let me do this right quick. We're talking all 3 hours today in some way, shape, or form, it seems, about this big debate, of course, today in Atlanta. This is the earliest presidential debate we've ever seen in the history of this country. Mr. Trump and Mr. Biden will go at it. I want to get your take as one who has been inside the SBA for a good chunk of his career. I want to get your take on how the president has done for small black business in America. But if you were, I'm putting you on the spot here now, you can handle it. If you were Dana Bash, if you were Jake Tapper, if you were one of the moderators of this debate in Atlanta today between Trump and Biden, what specifically would you ask them about small black business in America? What would be your press to them on this particular issue today?
Certainly, and of course, Tara, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Of course, we're good Kappa men, and I appreciate taking the opportunity there you go, to take the question spot on. I had the opportunity to serve in the Bush administration at HUD as a presidential management fellow at SBA, as the first African American at SBA, and I say that proudly because my point of that, Tab, is that the story has not changed. Access to capital is what we still need. Access to capital is something that is needed in this economy and is what's really needed to scale up and to start to change the mindset of generational wealth, as some of our neighbors and good friends are experiencing. And so the question I would ask to both of the candidates, what are you doing to add value to small and minority-owned businesses, particularly access to capital? That would be my question. And I would actually wait for a robust response. And Tavis, to this administration's credit, they have started to do some great things. I think Isabella Guzman, the SBA administrator, who I think very highly of, is taking an initiative and trying to change that trajectory. They started a new program, but we're anticipating to see how that access to capital is going to pan out. So I'm excited to see what's going to take place.
Yep. I'm excited to see what's going to take place too, but I'm going to hold my breath. I doubt very seriously. I would love to be wrong about this, and this is why it matters to have moderators of color in these debates, which we often do not get. I've had the honor in my career of moderating presidential debates, so I know what that feels like. I consider it a high mark in my career. The late, great Glenn, I'm blanking on her. She's my PBS. It'll come to me in a second. But sister at Gwen Eiffel.
Gwen Eiffel, yeah,
I've known Gwen for years. Just had a brain lapse there. My friend Harry Belafonte, the late great Belafonte, Mr. B, I called him.
Yeah.
He would be trying to think of something in his later years in our conversations. He was trying to couldn't pull it up quickly enough. I would just look at him and smile, and he would lean in with that raspy voice of his. When he couldn't think of something, he'd say, "Tavis." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Intellectual overload. Intellectual overload."
Yes.
That's what he called it. Not dementia, not Alzheimer's, not forgetfulness. He called it intellectual overload. So I couldn't pull the name of Gwen Eiffel fast enough. But Gwen Eiffel, of course, had the opportunity to moderate some debates as well. So the point is that when you have people of color asking the questions, you get questions out that matter to people of color. So I doubt very seriously if they're going to ask a question tonight about Biden or Trump about what they're doing for small black business. But we're going to talk about it more when we come forward with Cassius Butts on Tavis Smiley.
From the Mert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Listen up here. If you're not feeling yourself lately, if your weight loss dreams have turned into weight gain nightmares, if you've been chasing the same 20 pounds for like 20 years, then it's time for D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is here, and so now you should stop chasing, finally, those 20 pounds and propel yourself into a healthier lifestyle. So, to reboot your system and lose weight, go to dherbs.com right now to order your full body cleanse, or you can call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis at checkout, they will give you a discount on your order. dherbs.com, experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007 they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more OSB sheathing. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
Ew. Gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times that the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Have you been a victim of discrimination at a private business, by a landlord while seeking housing, by an employer, or by an academic institution? If so, the LA Civil Rights Department may be able to help. Please contact us at CRE@lacity.org or call 213-978-1845. Again, 213-978-1845 or visit laisforeveryone.com.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. He's rooting for everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Continue playing the best of Marvin Gaye all 3 hours of our program today as we continue celebrating June as Black Music Month. Our guest is Cassius Butts, 2-time presidential appointee for the Small Business Administration. And as I said a moment ago, I'm not sure that there's going to be a question tonight in this debate of Mr. Biden or Mr. Trump of what their plans are to add value to black small businesses in this country. But it's on our docket, and so in some ways we're discussing on our program today, as I think about it, all the stuff that ain't going to come up tonight. Certainly we have covered some issues that will come up tonight, but such is the nature of Black Talk Radio. You cover the stuff that they ain't going to talk about in hopes of getting their attention and raising these issues higher on the American agenda. Cassius, let me come right straight at you again and ask you, what is it that can be done better? What ought to be done more aggressively to, in fact, drive a black small business boom in this country?
Sure. And Tavis, I thank you for that question, because really this is something you're already doing yourself, even highlighting the country by his songs. And when people listen to music and songs, they get inspired to say, hey, I can make a difference. I don't have to wait for someone to give me the okay to do it. And they go out and actually do it. I think what you will see and what we've seen, Tavis, is the pandemic actually woke a lot of people up. Many people lost their jobs during the pandemic, but I also would tell you, Tavis, there was over 4 million jobs started at the start of the pandemic, and those are entrepreneurs. Many of those were black and brown businesses, and so what we actually need is, again, going back to the access to capital, looking at the funding opportunities that are in place, and acknowledging that there have been some unfair approaches of saying who should get this access to capital. I think, unfortunately, we're living in a George Floyd era right now. We acknowledge that there has been some evidence that, we have not started off on the same starting line. So what can we do to make the change to that? One, to bring the acknowledgement that we want to make differences. We have policies in place to do that. Two, who's going to enact and push those policies forward? And that's what I hope that we hear tonight. And even if we don't hear it tonight, Tavis, what you're continuing to do and some of your counterparts are continuing to do is to raise the issue. Again, if people do not know that these issues are existing across America, you can go back and there's many times that some of our young folks go into social media, make a campaign about it, but make it personal about your own business because we're here for a reason. We have an economic impact in this country, and we can't go quietly into the night without someone acknowledging that we count too.
Yeah. I'm looking at some data here, and data is always fascinating for me. It helps to paint a picture. Since the pandemic, you mentioned the pandemic, since the pandemic, black business ownership has more than doubled. Hispanic business ownership is up 40%, and women own a record share of businesses. I want to just come back to that first part. Since the pandemic, black business ownership has more than doubled. So here's the rub for me, and I want to just get your take on this. We have heard time and time again, I've discussed it on this program, what people have called the Great Resignation. That during the pandemic and after the pandemic, people just didn't want to work. In part, people argue that we got spoiled by those checks that we got in the mail. That Donald Trump, speaking of the debate, that Donald Trump put his own signature on, right? He wanted us to know that he sent us those checks. So there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people who argue that people across the board, black folk included, got spoiled in the pandemic. Many people getting. I know a bunch of folk in this category. They were getting checks for more than what they were making at their job, working full time. So people got spoiled by these checks for a variety of reasons, number one. Number two, we all know I am a small business owner. I understand this every day. I deal with this every day. It is hard these days to find folk who want to work, who have a strong work ethic, and a lot of people, again, were spoiled by those checks in the pandemic, and they ain't having it. Now, having said that, I do recognize a lot of people realize that they were being maltreated in the workplace. They weren't being given health care. They weren't making a living wage versus a minimum wage. So I get it. I'm not just demonizing people. I understand why many people realized in the pandemic how badly they'd been treated prior to by the labor by management rather in this country. I get all that. But here's the point I'm driving toward. I'm trying to juxtapose these two things. People telling me that folk don't want to work. Everywhere I go, I see work for hire signs, et cetera, et cetera. And yet the data tell us that black business ownership has more than doubled since the pandemic. I think I get that. I've got my own ideas about why I think that is. But how do you read those two realities? That we're told that people are lazier than ever on the one hand, but black business ownership has doubled since the pandemic. Can you square those two things for me?
Well, certainly, we'd be remiss if we didn't say that there are some folks who've taken advantage of opportunities that we think that should have been given to people who were really deserving of them. Not to say that they were not, but it's almost like when you're given $5 to go out to pay your bills, and you go spend it on something else. How can I give you 50? And so the reality is that we have to kind of have an introspective approach about how we're scaling up. And the point is this, Tavis, you said, spot on. There are some folks who actually took advantage of that and said, hey, I really want to do something else. But here's the key. There is nothing wrong in saying, I've been working this job for X amount of years, and I really don't like what I'm doing. I have a skill set that I really would like to use, and I see how to use this as a business in order for me to be a provider to me and my family. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, how do we do that? Again, you need access to capital. It was a Texas A&M professor who actually coined that phrase. His name is Anthony Klotz. And he coined that phrase, the Great Resignation. And then he went on to say that it's over with. The reality is that it's never going to be over with. Now, people are going to always say, hey, this is the time for me to scale up and do something I truly want to do. I want to follow my passion. So how do we capture that, Tavis? How do we capture those people who are looking to really follow something they really believe about, their passion? We have to give them tools, resources, and guidance in order to do that. There used to be programs in place where you would have mentor-protege programs. If I have a lawn care business, a beauty business, a landscaping business, and I'm trying to scale up, the best way to scale up is get someone to intern with you and then show them how to actually use those items to run your business. But we don't do that too often, and that's why I said introspectively, we have to look within our community to say we can do better, we have the resources, we have the skill set, but access to capital is going to always be the key.
The Biden-Harris administration is bragging about the fact that black-owned small business creation is at its highest level in 25 years. They are bragging about the fact that their administration, through the SBA, has gone through 18 million, or is going through 18 million new business applications. So they believe, the Biden-Harris team believe they have done well by black business. What's been your assessment watching what they've done?
Certainly. And I think, man, Tavis, we love to talk about numbers. Numbers are numbers, and numbers are facts. It is true that those numbers have increased. It is true that black-owned businesses have increased. But I guarantee you this, if you went through a pandemic, no matter who took the driver's seat, those numbers are going to increase no matter what. So what do we do with those numbers that have increased? We have to wrap our arms around them. We have to create opportunities and programs, in other words, to give them a little bit of grace to say, we're going to get you to an even playing field so we can all start off on the same place. And that's what I'm looking forward to this next administration that's coming in, no matter who wins coming into the fall. What are you going to do to wrap your arms around making sure that people have access to capital in a very fair way? And so this administration, they deserve the right to top that because they're capturing it. I'm looking forward to see, Tavis, what are you going to do next? Again, I'm a little encouraged to see what's taking place at SBA with Isabella Guzman and a new line of credit opportunity. Is a pilot program, which means that you can use your own line of credit instead of going to a bank. Instead of going to a bank, Tavis, listen to this. Instead of going to a bank, you can use your own line of credit to fund your own businesses. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen, and the lawmakers are going to be the one that's going to have to fund this program to make certain that we're not having the same conversation 4 years down the road.
I got 2 minutes left here. Let me ask you, and I'm not naive in asking this. Somebody once said that America was a corporation before it was even a country. America was a corporation before it was even a country. I ain't got time to dissect that. Just think about that, y'all, and you'll get it a little further down the road. But I'm wondering whether in 2024, given all of the multinationals, given all of the monopolies, I'm getting concerned in every industry, in every field, that America is becoming too monopolistic. You see the Department of Justice going after certain companies because they do, in fact, DOJ believes that they are now monopolies. My exit question is whether or not in 2024 it is still small business that drives the engine of America.
Absolutely. So, Tavis, again, it's something my late great mentor, the 3-time mayor of the city of Atlanta, I live in Atlanta, Maynard Jackson, used to say, if you're not using your God-given talent to make your friends and families wealthy, you're wasting your God-given talent. And so most of our friends and families are small businesses. Over 99.4% of this economy runs off of small business. So when you see a Target and you see a Walmart and Amazon, you see the big name, but in that name are thousands of small businesses that are there to sell their products. And so we've got to understand that we the people, again, I love to join that conversation later, we the people, and I say that specifically because you talk about a corporation, we the people are the one who actually run this economy. And if we're not buying into that and realizing that we have the power and we have the opportunities to actually control our own destiny, I'm looking forward to being a part of a robust economy where we can say we don't need to go asking for the opportunities. We have it within our own community, so we don't have to go begging. We can start using and start changing this into generational wealth the proper way.
Yeah, one day we're going to have a conversation on this show, and there are a few people I'm going to invite to be a part of it. I'll call you and put you on that list. But one day, let's have a conversation about Maynard Jackson. When you mentioned Maynard Jackson, my head just dropped. I loved and adored Maynard Jackson. I am happy to say, I'm happy to, humbled in fact, to say that he was a friend. We spent some good time together. But Maynard Jackson does not even to this day, even though his name thankfully is on that airport, Jackson Hartfield, in Atlanta. His name's on the airport, but Maynard Jackson still, I think, does not get the respect he deserves. And one day, I think I'm going to spend some time just getting people to understand why Maynard Jackson was all that and then some. The city of Atlanta was blessed to have him as its leader for those 3 different administrations that he was the CEO, chief executive of that city. Well, I'm glad you mentioned his name. It brought a smile to my face. Cassius Butts, good to have you on. Thank you for your time, sir. All the best.
Thank you, Brother Tavis.
Stay strong.
Yes, sir. I look forward to following up. Take care.
Thank you, sir. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Unapologetically progressive, unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Archaeologists at the University of New Hampshire, along with a historian at Northeastern University, say they have unearthed the long-lost homestead of King Pompey. Pompey was an enslaved African who won his freedom, later becoming one of the first black property owners in colonial New England. Researchers have long sought to discover the location of his home. They say they hope to eventually work with the National Park Service to establish a historical marker about King Pompey. Funding was provided by the New England Humanities Consortium and Northeastern University. Tampa, Florida officials won't abandon plans to get state funding for an arts venue. Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed funding for an amphitheater at Perry Harvey Park in the city's Central Avenue Business District. The area is significant for African Americans because it was where many newly freed slaves lived. Tampa State Rep. Diane Hart says she'll file another request for state funding. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Enjoy the rest of your night and please travel home safe. Big alert in San Dimas involving assault vapors remains in 2 right lanes of the 210 east before San Dimas Avenue. Stop traffic continues from Lone Hill Avenue and overall heavy traffic continues from Grand. In Pomona, accidents been cleared from the 71 south after Holt Avenue and Valley Boulevard split. Highway 138 Avenue D interchange between 60th Street and 72nd Street East remains closed due to the Columbia fire, which has stopped with no evacuations that have been reported and only 300 acres actually burned. And back in Yorba Linda, an accident remains on the right shoulder of the 91 East after Gibson Kinney Road. Overall drive remains heavy over 35 minutes from Framer Boulevard, Glassell Street interchange.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's day 2 of the NBA draft. The number 1 story in today's second round is which team will select Bronny James. 23 teams will have an opportunity to draft LeBron's son before the Lakers pick comes up at number 55. Will one of those 23 teams feel the need to select Bronny? If Bronny is still on the board at 55, will the Lakers take him to make his father happy? Or will the Lakers pass on Bronny to take a player they feel that can help them right away? Either way, the Lakers will have a lot of questions to answer regarding their decision on Bronny. Round 2 of the draft begins today at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Shohei Ohtani broke the Dodgers record for consecutive games with an RBI. Ohtani homered in the first inning last night against the White Sox in Chicago. The homer gave Ohtani an RBI in 10 straight games. The Angels swept the Oakland A's. The Angels improved to 15-25 at home. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Follow the leader. KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversations, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. Shopping for new blinds? At Blindster, we offer over 50 different blinds, shades, and shutters at low prices, custom made for your windows, and shipping is free. Shop at home and order 10 free samples of any product before you buy. Blindster.com.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned into Tavis Smiley.
Checking troubleshoot, moving down the line. I come apart, but that's okay. Trouble man, don't get in my way. I come apart, I've been a real man. Gonna keep moving, gonna go down. I come apart, I'm a get down.
We continue celebrating some of the best of the music of Marvin Gaye. June is Black Music Month, and every day this month we choose a different artist whose work we celebrate, and today we are playing some of the best of the corpus of one Marvin Gaye. I come apart. As promised now, a conversation with Dr. Tisa Silver Kennedy, a financial wellness advocate. We'll talk here about President Biden's student debt relief plan. The president continues to get pushback from the courts on this plan. He's doing everything he can, to his credit, to grow this number of debt relief for students, former students all across this country. And at every step, it seems there's another court case challenging him, pushing back on him with regard to what he has done with his executive pen, using the executive privilege that he has. And so I'm pleased to have Dr. Tisa on this program to talk about where we are with this debt relief plan right about now. I also know, I was just reading in preparation for our conversation, that there is a deadline of June 30th, as I recall. She'll unpack that for us as well. But there's a June 30th deadline for student loan forgiveness. You borrowers, so we'll talk about that. Pleased to have Dr. Tisa Silver Kennedy on this program. Dr. Tisa, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure to have you on the program. Let me just jump right in with this first question. Why is it, no naivete in asking this, but why is it that the president is getting so much pushback from the courts? Every other day I see another court case, it seems. Why is so much legal pushback on the president trying to relieve the debt, the student debt of fellow citizens?
Well, I think that this issue has been framed inaccurately around the notion of forgiveness. And there's this general sense that people who have student loans have done something wrong. But the truth is that provisions to cancel student debt have actually been in existence for 30 years. Mm-hmm. So President Biden is doing a lot to fix some of those programs that have not been working properly before. But the other piece is that he has come up with these original plans using that executive authority to try and cancel debt. And some people just don't want to see others get relief.
Again, no naivete here either. But how did this conversation get improperly framed, and by whom, as you see it?
Sure. So there are two ways that you can look at this. One is cancellation, the other is forgiveness. And forgiveness is the one that has become more popular because it's actually found in the text of some of the legislation. So when you present the word forgiveness to anyone, even outside of the context of finances, the feeling that evokes in a person is, well, what did you do that was so wrong that now you need forgiveness? So when people who don't have in-depth knowledge of this subject hear that someone's about to get a loan forgiven, for most of them, the instinct is to jump to the conclusion that the person did something wrong and they don't deserve forgiveness. I think we need to reframe this issue around the laws that are on the books and have been out there since the mid-1990s. That's that if a person pays their student loans according to the rules, then they should have the remaining amount of that debt canceled after a certain number of years. And I think that just that shift from forgiveness to cancellation and pointing it back to existing law would provide a lot more understanding and depth to this conversation.
This is getting deep for me. I love it. I believe that words matter. That won't surprise you, given what I do for a living. I believe that words matter. Are both of these words legitimate words in terms of contracts or the language of debt forgiveness, student loans rather? Are both of these words, forgiveness and cancellation, are these legitimate words? Or are you suggesting to me that one is actually in the contract and the other just became a part of our dialectic, as it were, when we talk about these things?
So these are legitimate words. One of the programs that I've had the most success helping people secure debt relief is actually called Public Service Loan Forgiveness. So the law that created it has the word forgiveness there. The problem is that people look at the notion of forgiveness without looking at the law. So when you hear forgiveness, you're drawn to think that a person has done something wrong, when in fact, this program is actually delivering relief to people who have done things like sacrifice larger earnings because they have a heart for service. They choose to be teachers, firefighters, nurses, people that could make a lot more if they went to corporate America, but choose these jobs that are rooted in government and service. And as an exchange for that service, they're granted the cancellation of their debt after they've been in repayment for 10 years. That doesn't sound like forgiveness to me.
Yeah. I know you're an MBA, so you're not a lawyer and I'm not a lawyer, but this is your issue, so I'm sure you can explain this to me. I'm going to go back to back to my initial question about the court system. If this language, whether you call it cancellation, forgiveness, if this language exists and has for 3 decades, for 30 years as you put it, if this language is in the contract, then why, again, is the president getting so much pushback from the courts? I mean, courts believe in contracts. They dissect contracts. They try to uphold contracts. So if the language is in the contract, what am I missing, Dr. Teese?
So what's missing is that President Biden is looking at what's already there, and he's acknowledging the fact that what's there has not worked. So he has implemented some one-time adjustments to both the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and another program called Income-Driven Repayment. And each time he has announced one of these initiatives, we've seen pushback from certain groups. And some of that pushback actually transforms into lawsuits. Many of them have not been successful. But what's different here about his administration is they're acknowledging the failure of these systems to work as they were supposed to work. But now the courts have intervened to say, you know what, you're making some changes and we think that you've overreached a bit. But I want people to understand that there are 2 separate pathways to forgiveness programs going on. The one pathway is through existing law, like Public Service Loan Forgiveness and Income-Driven Repayment. The other initiatives would be those like the president proposed in late 2022, where people were expecting to get up to $20,000 off. That was a blanket forgiveness program that was initiated by the president. That's more of that executive authority lane. But with these 2 things happening, people can still protest and sue to block the alterations that the president is trying to make to the programs that are legal but have not been working as they should have.
All right, when we come forward, now that I better understand that, I say all the time, I'm going to say it again. I'm always smarter when I leave the studio than when I come in any given day. It's because I talk to so many smart people who empower me with information that I otherwise would not have. And Dr. Tisa is breaking this thing down. So for those of you who have student loan debt, she's helping you understand what's what. When we come forward, I want to ask her about this June 30th deadline for student loan forgiveness. And I'm kind of in the dark about this, in part because I keep seeing these stories of the courts pushing back on this program. But I keep seeing these stories about the deadline of June 30th. So we'll get Dr. Tisa Silver Caddy to break that part down when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They want to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080. We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They want to get your number and put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Fight climate change. This Earth Day, April 22nd, go Metro and ride for free. You'll make a difference. Metro buses run on clean energy, making every day Earth Day. Together, we can clear the air and connect our communities. Start your journey at metro.net.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment. LA's 99 neighborhood councils form the grassroots level of the Los Angeles city government. The system was created to connect LA's diverse communities to City Hall. While neighborhood council board members are volunteers, they are also public officials elected to office by the members of their community. Neighborhood councils advocate on issues like homelessness, housing, land use, emergency preparedness, public safety, parks, transportation, and sustainability. They also provide local expertise on the delivery of city services to their various communities. Neighborhood councils are open to participation by anyone who is a part of the fabric of daily life in said community. This includes those who live, work, or own property or a business. If you are interested in stepping up to join your local neighborhood council, visit www.empowerla.org. That's empowerla.org. It's time to think globally, but act locally. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. For KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black. helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in conversation with Dr. Tisa Silver Kennedy, who is breaking financial wellness advocate is she, and she's breaking down all the details about President Joe Biden's student debt relief plan and program, which keeps running into legal walls in certain courts, and yet he's pressing forward, trying to bring as much debt relief as he can to students all across this country. Many of them, of course, African Americans. So I keep reading, Dr. Tisa, about this student loan forgiveness deadline of June 30th. Tell me about that and what borrowers need to know, and is this deadline real, given what I'm reading about the pushback in the courts?
Yes. So June 30th is a very important deadline for a program called Income-Driven Repayment. You might hear me talk about it as IDR. IDR is basically a pathway that allows people to repay their student loans based on their household income instead of just repaying based on the balance that they owe. So for people who have lower incomes, this allows them to have more affordable payments. Well, this president has acknowledged that these IDR programs have not worked the way that they should have worked in the past. And for that reason, millions of people who should have had their loans canceled by now do not have that cancellation. Had the program been working the way that it was supposed to, they would have a zero balance right now. So his administration came in and said, look, we know the program's not working. We're going to implement a one-time adjustment called the IDR adjustment. What that adjustment does is it allows people who have previously ineligible loans to get those loans on track for cancellation. And for people that do have the right kind of loans, it's giving them more credit toward cancellation than they could have ever earned before. And that's just through this one-time adjustment. The June 30th deadline is real and is very important, especially for people who have been in repayment for many years. I work with a lot of people who've been paying back student loans for more than 20 years. And if that's the case, they could have benefited from the IDR program working as it should have. So what people need to know is that the first thing you have to do is verify the types of loans you have. And for that, they want to go to studentaid.gov. That is the online home of the Office of Federal Student Aid. They're going to have to log in, get past a couple of verifications of their contact information and all that stuff. Once they get in, they're going to come to a place that shows them if they have federal student loans that are still outstanding. To verify whether their loans are going to be included in this one-time adjustment, they're going to need to take a look at their servicers, and there's a section called View My Servicers. When they look through that list, what they're looking for is Department of Ed in front of the servicer's name. If they see Department of Ed there, that means that their loans are going to be included in the adjustment. Some people might see Default Management Collection Systems, they're going to be included too. But if you see anything other than those two items, that means your loans are not eligible for this IDR adjustment. The good thing is there's something they can do to get the loans on track, and that's also inside of studentaid.gov. They can complete the application to consolidate those loans, and just the act of consolidating those loans will transform them so that they are included in this IDR adjustment. And the IDR adjustment is so important because, again, it's an acknowledgement that this program did not work the way that it should have, and there are millions of people who should have had their loans canceled by now. Because of this adjustment, the administration is giving people credit for months even when they did not make a payment, because had the program worked as it should, they would have been enrolled in a proper plan and they would have been able to benefit from that cancellation that's baked into every single IDR plan.
I hear a sound. What is that? I hear a sound. It's the sound of computers clicking. A whole lot of folk going to studentaid.gov right now. Studentaid.gov. I hear the sound even in my studio with headphones on. I still hear computer boards clicking. Studentaid.gov. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. Tisa, a funny story, maybe funny is the wrong word, interesting story about Barack and Michelle Obama. About the Obamas, speaking of student loan debt. I'll tell you that story in case you haven't heard it when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to health activist and founder of the Detox Now, Coach Jesse Thompson, about proper nutrition and how using herbal remedies kickstarts our health for the better. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Kroger, working to increase access to fresh and healthy food in our local communities. Kroger, fresh for everyone. I love when you go into these grocery stores that have beautiful organic sections, right? And you're able to get all these beautiful fruits and veggies and their antioxidant power, their anti-cancer properties. That is so much medicine in those foods. So food is your first medicine, right? Think about it as everything that we eat is either healing or harming us. Everything, okay? Yeah. So there are specific herbs that can be used for hormonal balance so that you can naturally balance your hormones. So when I look at that, I say, wait a minute, that my choice has the power to either, I say, stop being the accomplice in the story of our disease and start being the hero in the story of our healing. That's really good because you've been there, right? Yeah. The body is the biggest telltale. The body will tell you as soon as you eat something, and you start to get bloated. Your body say, hey, that's not good for you. What we've been doing is we've made a lifestyle of eating things that cause allergic reactions, but then we try to calm it with medications that are not curing things at the root, when really our food is the problem, right? Okay, all right, I'm learning already. Everything around us pushes us towards a life of toxicity. And healing really is a revolution. It's a radical act of self-love. So listening to our bodies is a superpower.
Mayfresh Daily in the Merck Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Dr. Tisa Silver Kennedy. I've got less than 4 minutes here. Let me read a quick message. I have a really bright audience, Dr. Tisa. And let me read this and get your quick take on it before I share this Obama story, and then we'll get out of here in 3 minutes. Tavis, regardless of the naming, the issue at hand is that Biden's plan is not equitable because it is prospective, not retrospective. Thus, current American loan holders receive relief while Americans who have already paid off their student loans or sacrificed in other areas, saving less, reducing expenses to avoid student loans, receive no relief. This was true of the blanket program and is true of the program alterations, while the payments are coming from taxpayers, not universities, that gave students predatory loans in the first place. By that I mean students who were low income and would not qualify for loans other than student loans. Your response?
Two things. One is that I think we need to, sometimes we need to be reminded that taxpayers and student loan borrowers are often the same population. So I don't want to pit those two populations against each other.
Right.
Also, when it comes to things like federal policies, there's usually a date that things are effective by. And of course, that means that some people get left out. And I'm thinking about my cousin in particular because he is an Iraqi war veteran.
Right.
There's certain benefits that he can't get because of the time of his service. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that he wants someone else to lose that benefit just because he can't have it.
Yeah. No, I get it. The Obamas I mentioned earlier. You may or may not recall this or know this, but when the Obamas came into office as president and first lady, they had huge student loan debt from all those years at Occidental and Columbia and Harvard for him, Princeton and Harvard for her, making them the first couple in the White House, I believe, to ever become president of the United States still carrying student loan debt. I always found that to be fascinating. They're the president and first lady of the United States, and they still paying off student loan debt while they're in the White House, which leads me to ask my extra question right quick. How Joe Biden figured this out and no president prior to him had. If people have been getting played by this student loan system and there's a way to cancel or forgive their debt, it's legitimate, it's contractual, show in 45 seconds. Why is Joe Biden the first one to figure this out, Dr. Tisa?
So President Biden is the first one to take action this strong on it, but President Obama also made some changes to income-driven repayment to try and improve the system. So while no president has taken it as far as President Biden has, others have tried. It's just a large, complicated system to try and fix.
Finally, how can people tap into your expertise? I'm sure I'm going to get a bunch of phone calls and a bunch of emails and a bunch of posts. All right, Tavis, I'm glad you had Dr. Tisa on. First of all, her name is spelled, I pronounce it Tisa. It's Tisa. Tisa Silver Candy. But tell us right quick how people can tap into you.
Yes, they can visit me online at tisasilver.com or tag me on social media. I'm at Tisa Silver on all social platforms.
That's Tisa Silver. Dr. Tisa, good to have you on.
Yes.
Thanks for the insight. Appreciate it. All the best to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Archaeologists at the University of New Hampshire, along with a historian at Northeastern University, say they have unearthed the long-lost homestead of King Pompey. Pompey was an enslaved African who won his freedom, later becoming one of the first black property owners in colonial New England. Researchers have long sought to discover the location of his home. They say they hope to eventually work with the National Park Service to establish a historical marker about King Pompey. Funding was provided by the New England Humanities Consortium and Northeastern University. Tampa, Florida officials won't abandon plans to get state funding for an arts venue. Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed funding for an amphitheater at Perry Harvey Park in the city's Central Avenue Business District. The area is significant for African Americans because it was where many newly freed slaves lived. Tampa State Rep. Diane Hart says she'll file another request for state funding. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Enjoy the rest of your night and please travel home safe. Big alert in San Dimas involving a stalled Baker's remains in two right lanes of the 210 east before San Dimas Avenue. Stop traffic continues from Lone Hill Avenue and overall heavy traffic continues from Grand. In Pomona, accidents been cleared from the 71 south after Fort Avenue and Valley Boulevard split. Highway 138 Avenue D interchange between 60th Street and 72nd Street East remains closed due to the Columbia fire, which has stopped with no evacuations that have been reported and only 300 acres actually burned. And back in Yorba Linda, an accident remains on the right shoulder of the 91 East after Gibson Katy Road. Overall drive remains heavy over 35 minutes from Kramer Boulevard, Glassell Street interchange.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's day 2 of the NBA draft. The number one story in today's second round is which team will select Bronny James. 23 teams will have an opportunity. If Bronny is still on the board at 55, will the Lakers take him to make his father happy? Or will the Lakers pass on Bronny to take a player they feel that can help them right away? Either way, the Lakers will have a lot of questions to answer regarding their decision on Bronny. Round 2 of the draft begins today at 1 p.m. Pacific time. Shohei Ohtani broke the Dodgers record for consecutive games with an RBI. Ohtani homered in the first inning last night against the White Sox in Chicago. The homer gave Ohtani an RBI in 10 straight games. The Angels swept the Oakland A's. The Angels improved to 15-25 at home. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin breakfast deal. Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga. My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Don't miss the debate of the season Thursday night on KBLA Talk 1580. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump face off this week in the first presidential debate. Tune in to Areva Martin Out Loud, Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. for pre-debate analysis. And stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for the presidential debate at 6 p.m. Immediately following the debate, Areva Martin will moderate a roundtable panel of political experts and take your live phone calls only on KBLA Talk 1580. After Biden and Trump square off, we want you to sound off and tell us what you think. At KBLA Talk 1580, you can black talk us anytime.
Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. No, no. Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. So honey, I've got your picture hanging on the wall, but it can't see to me when I call your name. I realize it's just a picture in a frame. I read your letters, you're not here, but they don't move me, they don't move me like when I hear your sweet voice whispering in my ear. Don't you know? Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. Ain't nothing like the real thing. I play my game of fantasy. I pretend, but I know in reality I need the shelter of your arms to comfort me. No other sound is quite the same as your name. No touch can do as a smile to make me feel better. So let's stay together. I get the memories, look back home, know the help. When it's home, I'm well.
I got caught up in it and forgot this is a talk radio show. That's what happens if you listen. Yeah, just go ahead and play it. Come on, play it, play it. I love the collaborations between Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell. We're playing the best of Marvin Gaye all 3 hours of our show today. June is Black Music Month, and every day we've selected different artists in every genre, R&B and hip-hop and blues and jazz and folk and gospel and soul, everything. We've been picking different artists of the day and playing the best of their stuff. Of course, Marvin has so much best stuff that you can't get it all in 3 hours. We've been in and out of conversations, but I got caught up there for a second just listening to Marvin and Tammy. It's hard to think about Marvin and Tammy without thinking about two other great songwriters and artists, Ashford and Simpson. Those were Marvin and Tammy's collaborators, Valerie Ashford and Nick Simpson. Nick Ashford, rather, and Valerie Simpson said it turned it around backwards. You know what I'm talking about. Ashford and Simpson. They were the collaborators with Tammy and Marvin, and what an amazing job they did. Of course, Ashford and Simpson wrote a lot of songs for a number of artists on the Motown label. But if I'm going to mention Marvin and Tammy, I got to mention Val and Nick as well, Ashford and Simpson, as their brilliant collaborators. In this final hour of our program, a conversation as promised with the co-founder of MoviePass, our friend and brother Stacy Spikes. A conversation today about the HBO documentary MoviePass, Movie Crash. We'll talk about the film of the documentary. We'll talk about corporate accountability. We'll talk about, in this hour, whether black artists can actually save Hollywood. Before we get into this conversation about the HBO doc MoviePass, Movie Crash, take a listen to the trailer.
MoviePass, a subscription service to Netflix for the movie theater.
It was the greatest thing ever.
MoviePass.
MoviePass.
The popular movie ticket app. MoviePass. We remember them. Whatever happened to those guys?
We thought this could reinvigorate the movie-going business.
Any movie, any theater, any day.
I went to the movie theater 428 times.
MoviePass doubled the revenue in theaters.
We were worth $80 million plus.
We had a product that no one could stop.
Mitch was making a toast. He said, "Mark my words, everyone's going to be rich."
They just spend. Going to Coachella, partying with Big Boy, John Travolta.
They burnt of $250 million. Whoa.
Meanwhile, there weren't extension cords to plug our computers into.
There were hundreds of thousands of customer service tickets.
A customer sent a box of to the office. I was like, we need to pump the brakes a little bit.
I just thought that it would be better if he wasn't a part of the team.
He's like the heart of MoviePass. The deeper you got in, the more you realized all of this was part of a bigger story.
A lot of times when they talk about MoviePass, you usually get a picture of Mitch and Ted, but that's definitely not the case.
It is an endless list of, oh my God, what is happening here?
Oh God, these old stories.
This is a company, not a family, and not all roles get to party.
Karma's
I have done this long enough now, Stacey Spikes. I've been at this for enough years, decades, in fact, to never make an assumption about how one feels about a particular documentary or book or any other endeavor that has to do with their work. So let me ask you right quick, and then we'll continue when we come forward. But very quickly, tell me at the outset here what you make of the documentary. Do you like it? Is it truthful? What do you think of it?
It is, Tavis, first, thank you for having me. It's so good to be on, brother. I had such a good time last time. It's truthful. Mutali, the director, did an amazing job, and he was able to tell the story that a lot of people thought they knew, but they really didn't. And I think he did a spectacular job.
Okay, that helps me out a lot, because it's hard to have a conversation. Well, not hard. I just got to know where I'm going, what frame I'm in. If the black co-founder of MoviePass doesn't like the documentary, then that gives me one frame to operate in, and if he does like it, then it makes things a little bit easier. So now we know that the black co-founder of MoviePass, Stacey Spikes, likes the documentary, thinks that it has worth and it has value, and from that point I can jump. When we come forward, we'll jump into our conversation with Stacey Spikes, and one of the initial questions is, how and why was MoviePass founded by some black people? That's the first thing. People didn't know that part of the story. I mean, I didn't know that initially. Everybody remembers MoviePass, this subscription service, which we'll talk about, but I didn't know it was had black founding when I first heard about it. Here I am supporting it, not knowing it had black founding, and when I found that out, I was even more excited about it. And then this thing sort of crashed and burned. We'll talk about why it crashed and burned, and talk about how Stacey Spikes has brought it back. So a great deal to get to regarding MoviePass and this documentary, MoviePass, Movie Crash, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley, ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
If you're not feeling yourself lately, if your weight loss dreams have turned into weight gain nightmares, if you've been chasing the same 20 pounds for like 20 years, maybe it's time for D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse is a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Summer is here, so you should think about losing those 20 pounds right now by propelling yourself into a healthier lifestyle. To reboot your system and lose weight, go to dherbs.com and order your Full Body Cleanse, or call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis at checkout, they will give you a discount. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Ew,
Gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Have you heard of the 50-30-20 rule?